We can limit the amount of bandwidth any one person can use. But as we stand them up, we're pretty much letting them run wide open. As much data as you can get, as fast as you can get it. And until we see any sort of performance degradation, we want to leave it as fast as possible for everybody.
Hey, this is Martha DeGrasse here again for Wi-Fi Alliance, and this is The Signal, our podcast where we give you the inside track on Wi-Fi. We want to deliver insight and perspective on the growing portfolio of Wi-Fi technologies that we see changing the connectivity landscape. These are meant to be smart conversations with industry leaders. In this episode, we're going to learn about a Wi-Fi hotspot deployment in North Carolina with Curtis Hill, Network Deployment Manager at Open Broadband. Curtis, welcome to The Signal.
Thank you for having me, Martha.
We are very excited about this episode. I think we're going to start off by hearing about what you are doing in Mecklenburg County. It sounds like you were able to access some federal funds to bring connectivity to people who weren't even connected to the internet until you came with these free access points, right?
Yes, we're very excited to work with Mecklenburg County and Mecklenburg County Parks and Recs on this project. As you stated, they won a federal ARPA grant to bring broadband service to 14 underserved parks in underserved locations. And we are seeing absolute explosive. Before we're finished the install, people are logging in. So it's really great to see the usage in these parks. Are
they mostly connecting with their phones? Are they bringing other devices into the parks? Or a little bit
actually, we're seeing multiple devices, yes. So the only thing the county requires to log in is an email address. And we're seeing email addresses across multiple devices. So it could be a phone, laptop, tablet. So if they've got a mobile device, they're using them.
That's great. And is it just when they're in the park, or does it go far enough for that some people can get a signal at their residence?
We try to keep it contained in the park, but as you know, broadband's very hard to corral into an area. So we do have some bleed over in some areas where it gets outside of the park.
I'm sure people like that. Okay.
Yes. The usage numbers would indicate that.
Okay. So how many parks so far and how many left to go?
So we're doing a total of 14 parks. We currently have 9 that have been accepted by the county, 1 that is in acceptance testing with the county, and 4 left to go.
Okay, great. And about how long does it take to bring one online, or does it differ depending on the size of the park?
Typically, once we actually start construction, it only takes us about a week from beginning to end to get it stood up.
That's awesome.
It takes us a little bit of time to get some of the work in place, getting some of the infrastructure. Sometimes we need power, getting circuits into locations. But once that's in place, the actual installation goes very quickly.
And you work with local providers for those circuits?
Yes. Various local utilities.
Okay. All right, great. And what about the access points themselves?
For this application, we're using Ubiquity access points. They work really well for what we're trying to do. Depending on the size of the park, the smaller ones may only have 1 access point. Some of the larger parks have 5 or 6 access points, just depending on how much of an area we're trying to cover.
Okay, great. And which generation of Wi-Fi is supported?
4, 5, and 6. We are currently not supporting Wi-Fi 7. Again, it is a free Wi-Fi service, and the demand for Wi-Fi 7, the cost that goes with it really doesn't warrant a free service at this point. So we're currently not providing Wi-Fi 7 service.
Okay. So how long has it been since you first got the grant, and when do you think that you'll be completely finished with all the parks? Or is that hard to say based on unforeseen factors?
We anticipate being done by the end of the year. So we were awarded the project at the beginning of the year and got started probably around March. Everything got finalized and we actually got started. And we've stood up 9 of 14 since the beginning of March.
So it's going really quickly. And did Helene change the schedule at all, or was everything?
Yes, it did. It was going very quickly and up till about 2 weeks ago. And then we did get the brakes put on a little bit. Not only do partners we work with, be it, utility companies, maybe we may be working on permits with, or, even our own in-house staff, everybody had to divert resources. We had networks down in Western North Carolina. Obviously, there was lots of power problems in Western North Carolina. In fact, we stood up a couple of Starlink units in Asheville in support of reestablishing communications in that area. So a lot of resources were diverted, but now we're getting everything shifted back to our project focus.
It seems like North Carolina has recovered quickly.
A lot of the larger areas have. There's still some pockets out there of people that here and there that are still suffering, but by and large, things are coming back online. It's good to see friends checking in on Facebook or whatever the various social media platforms in Western North Carolina. So it's there's going to be a lot of work to be done there, but it's good to see things are starting to come back online.
That's good. That's very good. So do you have any sense of how the free Wi-Fi is being used? What activities people are doing? Is it mostly social networks? Is it kids doing their homework? Is it...
We don't track all that data. We do have an analytics package because we do want to be able to provide the county data. Is the network being used? Are they getting value for this investment? So we see more the number of users, number of unique users, number of repeat users, and the amount of time they're spending online, and total amount of upload download. We don't know what they're uploading and downloading, just, hey, this user's used, because we do have a couple that is like, wow, this guy's used 5 gig of data in a couple of months on a free Wi-Fi. That's substantial. So
he's running a business out of the park.
that is the suspicion. So it's more data like that we're using. But I do know from my personal experience being in the parks, there's a lot of use. There's one park in particular that I enjoyed going to over the summer because they had a splash pad. And it was hot, so I enjoyed the splash pad while I was there. But everybody's there with their kids. They're taking pictures, and I know they're trying to put them on social media. So we didn't have the signs up, so I just went around and told everybody, hey, I'm putting in free Wi-Fi. Here's the password. Feel free to use it. We don't have the signs up. There was a lady there at the same place on the splash. She'd take her kid there to play on the splash pad, and she was working on an online course. So she was thrilled to death that there was now free Wi-Fi so she could work on her schoolwork while her child was in the park.
Well, yeah. So now there is signage so that people can see what the password is, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yep. And letting them know that it's available. Just a lot of people have found it on their own.
Yeah. You just open your phone and you probably see it, right? But if you need a password, you're going to want that sign. That's cool.
Yep. But there's no password. It's just simply enter an email. All we need is an email address, and then you have access from that point.
Very nice. Okay. So how were these parks chosen? I'm guessing that you worked with Mecklenburg County to identify areas of need? Or?
Yes. Yeah, there's already maps that show areas that are underserved, and Mecklenburg County had already identified them, a lot of these areas. So it was just a matter of getting the funding to actually go in and set up the service.
So they identified areas where people were underserved in terms of broadband?
Yes. And underserved can mean a couple of things. Underserved could be that there's not access, or underserved in some cases we're finding out is there's not affordable access. There may be internet there, but $100 a month, some of these places, it's pretty high in a lot of places.
Yeah, a lot of places I think maybe there's limited competition, so the prices can get pretty high pretty fast.
Yes.
Have you heard responses from the community about how this is changing their activities and even their daily lives, maybe?
Not a lot. We anticipate getting more when the signage goes up and people know where to send any sort of feedback. Right now, the only feedback we're really getting is when we're there, we're on site, and people are telling us. But we know the word is out because, again, the login numbers suggest that the word is spreading. And we're happy it is. We want it to be, something the community is getting value out of.
Has the traffic ever been more than the network could handle?
No, and actually, I'm glad you asked that because we are keeping a very close eye on it because there's things we can do to kind of throttle it. We can limit the amount of bandwidth any one person can use. But as we stand them up, we're pretty much letting them run wide open. As much data as you can get, as fast as you can get it. And until we see any sort of performance degradation, we want to leave it as fast as possible for everybody.
That's great.
If we get so much usage, and that'd be a good problem to have, that we get so much usage, we have to start throttling the amount people can use. That'd be nice. They'd like to have that problem, I'm sure.
Do you know the highest level of traffic that you've ever seen at any one time in any of the parks?
Yeah, we've seen up to about 50 to 60 people online at any one time.
Okay. That's great.
And that was kind of surprising to us. We weren't expecting quite, and again, this was at a park that it's a larger one of the parks, but it doesn't have any signage up yet.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great project. I hope that it could be a model maybe for some other communities. Have you had any interest from anybody else that is watching from someplace else that might want to try something similar?
Yes, we've actually had some inquiries now that word's gotten out about this. We have had some other interest in it because we do other public Wi-Fi projects. We do a lot of public Wi-Fi, downtown Wi-Fi zones and stuff like this, which is why this one kind of fit into our wheelhouse. This was a good project for us to go after. It's what we do. So we're going to try to stay in this niche, but we really like the parks. We've had some other opportunities come up in Mecklenburg County as a result of it. So there's some other things we're looking at. In fact, there's some things that we were approached with, we've taken back to the county and said, hey, what do you think about this? So it's a good two-way discussion. And I'm glad there's other people out there seeing it. It might be a fit for them as well.
Can you give us any hints of what's to come?
Yes, we're going to be looking at solar. So due to the cost of some of the make-ready agreements with utilities, it's cost prohibitive to go through using their poles and their power options. So we're going to look at going solar. We've had some recent experience with this with Helene. We've been up in Asheville assisting with Starlink setups and solar arrays to power equipment short-term while power's being restored. So we've gotten a pretty good idea now of what it takes, number of arrays, number of batteries, and we're going to look at implementing these into our parks and recs projects where it's cost prohibitive to use local utilities.
Well, that is very exciting. We may have to have you back to hear more about that. All right, Curtis Hill, Network Deployment Manager at Open Broadband. Thank you so much for making time for the Signal today.
Thank you for having me, Martha.
And that is our show. You can get the Signal straight to your device through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or of course at the Wi-Fi Alliance. That's y-fi.org. I'm Martha DeGrasse here for Wi-Fi Alliance. Thank you so much for listening. Join us next time on The Signal.